Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of LearnBiz The Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. And today we're doing something a little bit different than our norm. Instead of us bringing on a guest, we are going to interview one of our very own, Miss Lisa Crawford. Hi, good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, Miss Sandy. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Had a wonderful 4th of July holiday, enjoyed some rest and relaxation. And I'm definitely looking forward to hearing about the real estate market and the industry from you today.
Yes, this is always a very exciting topic for me, real estate. I mean, what isn't exciting in real estate these days?
You already know. So I'm Sandy B, and today I'm going to be shooting some questions to my girl Lisa. And we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to ask any questions that you have as well. A very special good morning to our favorite supporter, Doug. We thank you so much for
Good
coming on
morning,
here this
Doug.
morning and hope you had a really great holiday weekend and got some rest and relaxation. So we're going to get right into it, and I'm going to ask Lisa a question. But before we get to that, I want to let you know that we have finally completed our merchandise shop. So you can now support LearnBiz the podcast by purchasing some very basic items, some t-shirts and some other things. So we're going to be posting the link in the description, probably sometime during the show because I got to post the link. But please take advantage of the opportunity to support our channel. And we're also going to be dropping our Cash App soon. So you'll be able to support our channel and the efforts that we have going on here because we love what we do, and every little bit definitely helps. Um, so the first question I'm going to ask Lisa is one of her favorite questions, which is,
Oh my
who are you?
God. Wait, you're springing the me on me?
Yes.
Okay, that's really good, Sandy. I am Lisa Crawford. By profession, I am a licensed real estate broker associate, which means I work under a broker. And so I have just, Sandy, you should know this too. I just switched real estate brokerages. I'm with a new broker. I work with United Realty Group here in South Florida. So everything's still the same, still a realtor, but just with a different brokerage. So that's what I do. I help people buy and sell real estate, whether it's a residential home, luxury or waterfront property or condominium, or if you're looking for a location for your business. These are the things that I help with. And besides that, who is Lisa Crawford? Lisa is just this lovable person that's just a lover of life and nature and people, and always just basically trying to do good and do the right thing. I love helping people. That's why I always pick helping professions, because I love helping people. And what really matters to me is that when I can help someone and you see that reward when somebody else's life or their space, that's the most rewarding thing. So that's basically who I am. I'm still trying to figure out a lot about me as I go on this life journey, but just helping people, being of service to others. I think that's what it's all about. I've done it in law, and now I'm doing this in real estate.
So I'm glad that you mentioned law and real estate because you would probably be what we describe as a serial entrepreneur because you have, a couple of different things going on. But how did you get to the point that you are now? Because there has to be a path that kind of took you to this place where you're like, you know what, I'm going to do these different things. What are some things that are in your background that you can share with us?
Absolutely. My natural transition into real estate really came from law, Sandy. As you know, we both practice law in the area of probate administration. And what I found that in dealing with these probate estates, and probate is that process of going to court to get a deceased person's assets transferred or distributed to their loved ones, is that whole court process. And so, in doing that, some of the assets and some of these deceased persons' estates is real estate. You run across real estate, And so, sure enough, there was circumstances where the real estate needed to be sold out of the probate estate. And in doing so, I had to connect with realtors and that type of thing. And they had to get, they had to do comparative market analysis, because as you know, in our state, the court wants to make sure that the assets are protected. If they're going to be sold, that they're sold at the highest and best fair market value. And so, in dealing with these realtors, I thought, well, wait a minute. I practice probate administration. Why can't I become a realtor and help people on all sides of the transaction? While I can't be on all sides of the transaction at the exact same time, I can definitely be in either one of those spaces. So I decided to become a realtor so I can assist at any juncture of the case.
So in essence, the real estate component is kind of a heart for you in terms of being able to provide people with certain types of services when it comes to trying to purchase property or sell their property. So being that we are in the South Florida market, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in our real estate market, because I think South Florida is a rare breed when it comes to all things, and real estate is definitely one of them. But what are some things that people that need to be mindful of if they're going to purchase any property here in South Florida?
Well, one of the things you need to be mindful of is that this is a very competitive market. It is indeed a seller's market, not just in Florida, but across the country in general. So he who has the property rules right now, and folks are still getting top dollar for their properties if you're out there selling property. So if you're going to be buying property, what you want to do is realize it's competitive and get yourself prepared. So I would say one of your first best friends is going to be someone in the mortgage lending industry if you're not going to be a cash buyer. If you have 100% cash, you're ready to go. All you need to do is connect with the right real estate associate agent or broker associate and get find your property, do your research, get your property, and get to closing, because you can close that deal with cash, no issues. If you are going to finance and you need assistance with a mortgage finance, like I said, your best first friend should be someone in the mortgage lending industry. You want to connect with a mortgage lender. There's two ways to go with folks. They like to get pre-qualified, or they like to get pre-approved by their lenders. I say forget about being pre-qualified. Get pre-approved, because you are one step closer to getting that loan and you're ready to go. And here's the deal: when you put a contract out there on the property, something you see that you want to purchase, you show that that seller, you show them your proof of funds. You show them that you either got the money to buy that property because you want to get to the top of that stack, right? There's a lot of folks probably trying to get that one piece of property, or you want to show them that you have at least been pre-qualified for that purchase, so that they know that a lender is ready to go with you. They've been through some type of underwriting review and you're good to go on that loan. And that's how you make yourself competitive in this market.
And so we're talking about people who are trying to purchase. What about folks who are trying to sell? What are some tips that they can be mindful of?
Well, if you're out there trying to sell your property, number one, you want to make sure that you consider what is the general fair market value out here. For my type of property, if it's a 3-2, a certain type of neighborhood, you want to check the recent sales in that neighborhood and see what people have sold their properties for, because that generally does create the pattern of the sales history and the type of prices that your property will sell for potentially. So you look at that trend and then you price your property accordingly. What a lot of times what sellers they make the mistake on is that they have all this sentimental value with their home and their property. Well, folks out in the market, they ain't paying for your sentimental value. You know what I mean? How much that house means to you personally, it really don't matter. What matters is what can that house sell for reasonably on the open market. And so what happens if you overprice your property as a seller, you're not selling your property, you're selling the properties that are cheaper than yours. That's what you're doing when you overprice. So you got to price that property competitively based on the current market value. And that's what sellers need to know. The other thing is that if you know you've lived in a house and you've not done repairs for an extended period of time, you may want to take some time and finally do some of those smaller repairs. Because, if I'm a buyer, I'm going to look around for all the flaws. I'm going to look for all the defects, the cracks in the ceiling, and I'm going to see where I can chip away at your price so I can lower that price, because that's what buyers do. And so if you take away get all that gray area out of the equation, pretty much you can get the price that you ask for. So those are a few tips for sellers. And don't be afraid to stage your home, because when people walk into your home, they need to visualize living there, what it's going to be like for them living there. So if you have too much clutter or broken down stuff, you take away from that visualization and the selling features of your home. And curb appeal is very important too. Nice flowers, nice lawn, no chipping paint. You want people to notice your home from the outside before they even walk inside.
Yeah, there are a lot of homes that I've walked into over the past, I'd say 3 to 6 months, and I'm like, there is nothing done here, but people are asking 500, 600, 700,000. So what's allowing folks to be able to inflate these numbers so much? Like, what's going on in the marketplace right now?
That's a really loaded question, but I really love it. There's so many angles to answering that question. So, you have first of all, we have lower inventory. There's not a lot of in Broward County where we live. There's less than 2 months inventory of housing supply, which means that in some cases 1 month, which means if everything that's out there for sale now sold today, that would be it for 30 days. That housing supply, after 30 days, it'll be gone. So if there's a 30-day supply, in some cases a 1 month supply of housing, 2 month supply, but that's considered low inventory. And so what does that low inventory tend to do? It drives up the prices. And that's what we're seeing. Sandy, when I was out here 5 years ago in real estate, I mean, the houses that are like 300,000 or 600,000 today, some of those properties were 250, 300,000, 5 years ago. So, and your fixer uppers were maybe 150, 200,000. Now your fixer uppers can be 350,000, 400,000. So that just goes to show you that we are in kind of a housing crunch in this country. And we've been coming this way for a while. It's just that people haven't really been talking about it. The other thing that I attribute this housing crisis to is that there are a lot of real estate investment corporations that are buying up all the available housing stock across the country. Okay. So that means that when your first time home buyers get out there to look for their first home ever, ain't no housing supply available, because these corporations are buying it for their companies to maximize profits. So that's another factor that is really directly going against people who are trying to get into this market. And I think the government is going to have to get involved or do something, or states are going to have to build more affordable housing, because we're kind of in a crunch already, a lightweight housing crunch, as far as affordable housing.
Yeah, that was one of the thoughts that I had. I saw a news story about, I don't know if it was a state or a city that was imposing some restrictions on, I guess, out of area purchaser, or no, investment purchasers. They were trying to put some restrictions because if you don't have access for individuals to purchase like their first home and things like that, you're really creating a barrier to entry into the real estate world, in terms of home ownership for the first time. And also just creating an environment where it just becomes kind of hostile to folks who are trying to get into homes. As a real estate agent and now a real estate broker, what are some things that you're seeing from, the business side that really have an impact and kind of shift the way that you do your business right now in real estate?
Well, I am under an actual broker, so I'm a broker associate. And so some of the things that I see that's affecting my business is that, we have to really market and hone in on our audience. Because while, my view is I love to sell to everybody, we have to find our target audiences that we can help. Now, I can help everybody, but can I reach everybody? That's the question. So, from the business aspect is always about how do you effectively market, how do you get yourself out there and let people know that you're there in this space, so that you can help them. And so, coming out of pandemic from 2020, and you can see 2 years later people are just starting to peek outside the door a little bit. For me, it's about getting into some of these networking spaces and just letting people know I'm there. So when they think about a realtor, they think, I'm going to call Lisa. She's knowledgeable. She knows how to negotiate a contract and the terms, and she can protect my transaction and get me to closing. So I need for people to know I'm in this space. So, but that is one of my challenges that I'm constantly working on, and is getting my name out there.
So, in talking about the business, what are the steps to becoming a broker associate? Because you're not just a realtor, and not that that's, nothing, right? But you're not only a realtor, you're a broker associate. What are the steps to get to that point?
Well, as you just indicated, first you do have to become a licensed realtor. I am a licensed Florida realtor. So I first got my real estate associate's license. And essentially, you take a course, a real estate course, and then you sit for the state exam. And then once you become licensed, and after a couple years, you can go apply to get your broker's license. And I did that after several years. And you sit and you study for that broker's exam. And then you take the state broker exam. And then, well, I'm sorry, there's a course. You take the course, you have to pass a course. And once you pass the course, then you can take the state exam.
Okay.
And it's just another level. Some people use their broker's license just for marketing purposes, just to let people know that I'm really seriously in this space in real estate, and I'm acquiring as much knowledge as I can to let you know and to bring value to you. And other people actually go on to use that broker's license to form their own real estate brokerage business, where they are then hiring realtors that work for their brokerage and go out there and sell and help people buy properties. So that's kind of in the back of my mind. I don't feel like I'm ready to branch out on my own quite yet, but that view is definitely there in the back of my mind as I'm getting more experience by and by.
Love it, love it, love it. So I'm going to make sure to share Lisa's contact information just to make sure that you have an opportunity to reach out to Lisa if you are looking for property in the South Florida market. You can reach Lisa on her website. You can reach Lisa at the phone number. But don't hesitate to reach out, Lisa, if you have any questions about the South Florida market, because we are truly, truly a special place to be. Um,
Yes. Oh,
Now,
Sandy,
Lisa,
hold on.
yes.
I just have to correct that phone number. The proper phone number should be for the real estate should be, and I meant to put that in there. It's 954 eight
Okay.
six four 8950. I'm a licensed real estate broker associate in Florida. However, if you're looking for real estate anywhere across the country or in the world, I can help you. I can connect with fabulous qualified realtors all across this country and make sure you're taken care of. So if you want to start with me, feel free to do that. I will help you, or I will make sure you're in good hands.
Yes, indeed. So if you want to reach out to Lisa regarding real estate, please keep in mind that this is the number. The other number is the law firm number, correct?
Yes,
All right,
yes.
so let me make sure that I'm gonna share both here. So this is if you want to reach Lisa in terms of her probate estate planning, and you could also go to her website. But also keep in mind that if you need to reach her for any real estate needs, you'll do the 864-8950. And of course, we're in 954. So, Lisa, when it comes to talking about real estate and the pathway to, this industry, a lot of realtors exist, right? What makes for a good realtor? Because a lot of times people are trying to find someone and they see ads and things like that. But how do you vet your realtor to make sure that this is somebody that's a good fit for you?
Oh, that's a really great question. Well, and it's really true. Experience really does matter. And when I was really, really, really green, I didn't like that because I thought, you know what, I'm smart and I can learn fast. So if you just base hiring a realtor on experience, when I don't have much at this point, then you're missing working with a great realtor still. But the bottom line is people are going to look for personalities, people they get along with. People do business in general with people who they know, like, and trust. So many times you will find that people will ask someone, their friends, their family members, their church members, who has been a great realtor? Who do you know who I can call? The referrals work. So you'll find that people use referrals for people as far as maybe their family members who they've known, liked, and trust. And then you will, if you don't know anyone, then you want to most likely look at experience. That number one thing will probably be how long has that person been out there? Um, do they have experience selling homes? Have they sold a home before? Have they negotiated a contract before? You need to feel that your person knows what's going on. The other thing is, even if a person is generally qualified because they're licensed and they're basically competent, it's important to have a business person with follow through. You want a person who's going to communicate with you, keep in touch with you, not have you guessing what's the next step. You want a navigator, someone who's going to navigate you from that contract that you just entered into, which is, hundreds of thousands of dollars, that contract to closing. Not only do you want to be in that contract, but you want to get the ultimate goal of that property. And you got to feel sure that that realtor is going to be able to navigate you there and be responsible. There's a lot of timelines, there's deadlines embedded in that whole process. You need someone who's organized, who has that calendar, who has your back, who's going to get you closed. And it's a great commitment from a real estate point of view, because realtors' jobs are also not only just to go ahead and get that client to closing and get them happy so they can collect that commission check. We have to educate. If we're not educating our clients and customers along the way, we're doing a great disservice to our careers and to our customers. So our job is to do some research and investigate. So if we have to contact code enforcement and zoning and make sure we understand the true nature of what's going on with that property,
Right.
that's a realtor's job. So there's a lot of things that we have to do to make sure we understand the nature and structure of the deal, the property, and all the questions that may come. We can't say to a potential buyer, oh, I don't know. I don't really know what's going on. I haven't checked that part. I don't know. It's your job to find out as a realtor. So a real realtor is going to know all the ins and out, everything about the property that they're helping someone buy or sell.
So, Lisa, Doug is making an important comment here. He says BlackRock is buying 800 houses per month. And BlackRock is basically this trillion-dollar company that basically acquires assets. And, these are the types of entities that we in the marketplace who are looking for homes are competing with. What do you
Yeah.
say to your clients when this is what you're kind of facing, no matter where you are actually in the United States, companies that are worth trillions and billions and millions of dollars, hey, they can buy, like he said, 800 houses a month.
This is one of those things that make people kind of sound like a hypocrite in a way, because you talk about, I love capitalism and I'm glad we're in a
Yes.
I'm glad we're in a capitalistic society, because the sky is the limit.
Right.
However, when you're in a society, this is the things that happen. You got someone that got enough money to buy up all the available housing stock, so nobody else who really needs it can benefit thereby. That
Right.
is a problem. So what that tells me is that there needs to be some type of limits. I don't know how that happens, but
Right.
you gotta save some affordable housing stock across the country in every
Right.
state for the growing population. We can anticipate population growth. I mean, we do census tracking across this country, what, every 10 years or so. We know what population growth is going to look like in this country. There's no reason why there should not be some national housing czar that can help basically plan for situations before they turn into crisis. But because of where we are now, I think we're in, like I said, I think it's a, people say a mini crisis. It's like when you don't have a place to live, that's not
Yeah.
even mini. That's not even a mini crisis. That's a maximum crisis. So that's where we are, but it's just that there's a lot of more haves. People out there that's doing well with this,
Yeah.
and you're not hearing from the have-nots because we're creating this permanent underclass in this country, and they're so pushed to the bottom that you can't even hear the sound anymore, and that's
Right.
sad.
So let's talk about the pandemic, because I know that the pandemic kind of takes us to the point that we are right now, in addition to other things that are going on in the world, whether it be the war in Ukraine or just inflation. I mean, the pandemic was kind of a starting point to this, what I call a downward spiral, at least for the rest of the world, not for the $1 trillion company, right? So, how did you kind of manage through the pandemic in terms of, the real estate market?
Oh gosh, I think right around the pandemic is when I realized there was something kind of weird happening in the market.
Right.
Around that time, I had connected with this real estate program that helped people do, with buy to own, rent to own properties. It's called
Right.
Divvy at the time, that particular program. And in helping people to buy properties, I was seeing that, you know, first of all, they couldn't get a $400,000 property because the competition was really, really fierce. And
Right.
then I never had to actually stand in a line for open house with like 75 people for a property that wasn't even that wasn't even over $500,000.
Right.
And then, standing in line is one thing, but then you got everybody masked up because, you're in the middle of a pandemic, and there were a lot of restrictions on as far as going into people's properties, and still now some people want you to stay masked up. But I think, in the market itself, it didn't really stop the market. It didn't stop the market because every time you find that there are losers, like people in this case in the pandemic losing their jobs, not being able to pay their rents,
Right.
needing rental assistance to be able to keep their properties, needing these owners, landlords to be a little bit more gentle and not ready to kick them out.
Right.
We've seen a lot of situations like that, but people held through the pandemic because of the money that was flowing in, not only to the renters so they can keep paying for their housing, but also to the own property owners. Money's flowing in to help them to stabilize, to be
Right.
able to keep renting out there. So that was all happening during the pandemic, which I thought was a good thing. But so there was a little bit of a lull. There was a little bit of a lull. I experienced some of that. Just kind of
Right.
like folks just kind of on the sidelines, like, I'm not touching this market right now. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna see what's happening out there. And also, you see people started buying more condominiums too.
Oh,
People in
wow.
South Florida, yeah, the condominium purchases for the past 2 years in Miami-Dade County and Broward County, and even some parts of Palm Beach, but I know definitely Broward and Miami-Dade, through the roof.
Does that
Condo
explain
purchases.
does that explain why the prices are so high now? Because I'm like, you used to be able to buy a condo, for under 100, or at least in the, 100s. I'm seeing regular old like stuff that I would have never imagined in the 200s and 300s, like starting point.
Exactly, because before the pandemic and several years before, I was seeing condos that were still like 50, 60, 70,000, depending on where
Yeah.
you're looking for condos. And that was the lower end. But forget about it these days. But what's happening, buying and purchasing a condo has become a lot less expensive than buying a single family home.
Yeah,
You
that is
know,
true.
because some
Yeah.
people don't necessarily want to pay 400,000 and still be moving into a fixer upper.
Truth. Truth.
So we've been seeing a lot of that shift that people like, look, I want to move to Florida. We have over 1,000 people moving here every day to the state of
Sheesh.
Florida. People that
Go
I
back.
want to get there. I want to get there. And if I can't get a house right now, darn it, I'm going to get a condo. And we've
Oh
seen that happen
man.
a lot.
Maybe I need to look at condos. I really hate condos. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like homeowners associations. I don't like the restrictions. I don't like. I've had too many cases where I've had to deal with foreclosures with condos, for simple stuff, not even like the actual payment of a mortgage. We're talking those assessments for which many of them don't actually do anything.
That
But
that's true, Sandy. And you know, a lot of that shift during the pandemic, where a lot of people realize who are living in condos during the pandemic, is that if once we get out of this pandemic, I'm going to purchase a home, and I'm never going to live in that close a proximity to anyone ever again. I think
truth,
that's what a lot of people realize, that they have to get a home now, and they
yeah.
don't ever want to be that close to folks if something like this ever happens again.
Man. So, Lisa, when it comes to being a real estate agent, being a broker, having to help people through this marketplace, what do you say to someone who's coming into the industry now? What type of tips would you give them?
Well, I would say come on in. I think just like every family probably has a doctor or nurse or a nurse, someone in nursing, someone in the medical field. Every family should have a realtor. Every family should have a realtor. So we need to build more and more realtors. Why? Because the commissions are awesome. Let me give you, if your average right now, your median sales price on any home across the country is about $475,000. That's anywhere across the country. So if you are a realtor and you have both sides of the transaction, which is the typical real estate commission is 6%, then you are pocketing $28,500 off of one transaction. So that's why real estate can really change your life overnight. It only takes one deal, really.
Right,
So if you work this industry and you stay in it, eventually you're going to do well. And so, just like any business, this is one of those low expense entry kind of businesses. Like, it don't take a lot of money to get started in it.
right.
That's why you find so many people entering into real estate, because, you know, the exam to become a realtor is not that expensive. The course is not that expensive.
Okay.
So you have all of these folks entering, but you don't doesn't mean you have quality people. So, you know, most folks who are really no good at it, they're going to probably drop off in 1 to 2 years anyway.
Well,
The people,
Doug says wow, and I'm saying wow too. I'm like, so I started to do some numbers, and I'm thinking, okay, so I could sell 4 houses for the year and
you're done.
definitely dabble on that six-figure market.
You're
Like
done.
you really have
Yeah,
the possibility to live a lifestyle with that. Um,
absolutely. So
what are the
that's why I said
challenges?
the challenges are, you have to find your market. You have to find your own, everyone has their own sphere of influence in life. Who
Right,
are your friends? Who do you know? Do you know any people in the room who are more powerful than you? That's
right,
why I always tell people, when you start networking, network with people who got more than you, who got more going on than you do. You want to be
right.
around those folks, because you want to be able to go in places to be able to help people to get to their next levels, right?
Yeah,
So create your sphere of influence, grow your sphere of influence, get out there and network, get to know some high network net worth individuals. And once you make some of those inroads, you can get into that luxury space if you want to. Or these days, heck, $450,000 is luxury, you know? So these days, you don't have to be selling $1 million to be luxury anymore.
Man.
So just find your space, work your business. Don't do like me and discount marketing in the beginning. You
Okay.
have to set money aside to market effectively.
Okay.
Yes, you can tell your friends, you can call folks up on the front phone, but you want your sphere of influence to get wider and broader and broader. So more and more people, and that means advertising. That means you have to have a budget. So when you get that $28,000 commission check, don't go out there and buy a brand new car. Put some money aside for marketing to keep growing your business.
But Lisa, I have to have that big fancy car so I can show people that I'm a luxury realtor.
Well, then there's that. There's that. It's kind of like staging, right? Kind of like
Yeah.
staging.
So, I think we only have a couple more minutes, so I'm going to ask a couple questions about, moving forward. What are some things that you see for yourself? Because you went from real estate agent to now broker associate. What do you see for tomorrow? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I see myself helping more with real estate development deals to
Okay.
help develop some properties, affordable housing. I love to be a part of a real estate development team of actually building properties. Excuse me. Um, and so that's what I like to do. I like to be in that space and be more involved in that space. But in the meantime and in between time, there are tons of people out here who need help looking for a house, looking for a decent place to live. I also help with rentals, whether you're renting a property or whether you're owning a property. Also realtors collect commissions off of rentals as well. So it doesn't matter to me. I just want to be able to help you and help you connect with the right type of lender. The brokerage that I'm with now, we have our own in-house mortgage lender. We have our own in-house title company. So we're a full service real estate brokerage. And so all of these services, and now I'm connected with so many experienced realtors all across the board with United Realty Group. So we'll be able to help you. What was that question again, Sandy? I think I went off on a tangent, girl.
No, actually, you're talking about
Oh,
exactly
okay.
what I want to hear. I was just asking about the future. What does Lisa see? I mean, you're a broker associate now. Are there some other things that you have in the real estate world that you plan on doing? Like, do you want to own your own brokerage or?
Yes, and so that would be an ultimate goal of mine is to eventually get to my own brokerage and to get some fantastic realtors around me who are
Right.
extremely business minded, who want to go out there and help a lot of other people. And I know I'll be able to do this because I know fantastic business women in South
Okay.
Florida. And I know that we can put together a heck of a team. So that is definitely in the horizon. But in the meantime, I just want to tell folks about this real quick. If you're looking to buy in South Florida, and if it's been a little tough for you out here, it's understandable. But Governor DeSantis recently signed the a hometown heroes legislation into law, uh, which basically gives up to $25,000 in down payment and closing cost assistance to Floridians, first time homeowners. This is meant for first responders. This is something that it doesn't accumulate any interest. You will have to pay it back eventually unless you're a veteran. But other than that, you don't have to worry about any interest. You don't have to worry about paying it back until you get ready to transfer or sell your property somewhere down the line.
Okay.
There's some other qualifications, and I'm going to be putting information out there. Make sure when you talk to your realtors, make sure you ask them about all the programs that are available to you as a first-time home buyer if you're in that. There's some people who can take first-time home buyer courses if they're in that type of position, and then they get some type of credit certificate, and then they can get assistance. So make sure you know about that. The other thing, Sandy, is I'm going to be partnering with people like you in the future. Um, I'll talk about real estate, and you'll talk about some of the probate nightmares when people don't handle their real estate properly.
Right.
But I want to get out there and do more education and talk about first-time home buyers programs, classes, and just put more information out to help people. Because guess what? One of the most recession proof or inflation proof ways you can go is owning real estate.
True.
Because as prices increase, so does your property value. So, so you want to own real estate. And I'm going to look at this point, if you even have to get some vacant land and sit on it until you decide what you want to build, own real estate sooner than later. That's what I want to say.
Well, Doug says go DeSantis. Doug, this is the only time that you're going to hear Lisa and I say go DeSantis, because he's been getting on my nerves for quite some time now. Right. But I'll give him some credit where credit is due. So hopefully that means me being a lawyer and being a first responder to the needs of others, I may fall into this program, I'm hoping.
Yes, I'll definitely send you the information on it.
All right, so we have done an interview today of our very own Lisa K. Crawford. As I said earlier, you want to reach out to Lisa as an attorney because she has some great value to offer, but you also want to reach out to her as a realtor. So the first number, the 870-7600, is actually her law firm number, and you can go to the website lisakcrawford.com. And if you have any housing needs in the South Florida market, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, please reach out to Lisa at 954-864-8950. And she will be sure to make sure that you have the property of your needs. Lisa, any last words before we close out?
Well, what I like to say to folks when it comes to being out there in that market, if you have to sleep on it, you might not be sleeping in it. So it's a competitive market and you got to move fast.
It definitely is. And, you know, this is a time for folks to really make some smart decisions and advantage of the opportunities as they lie. So definitely, folks, we appreciate you for tuning in. As I said earlier in the show, we are now going to be giving you an opportunity to support our channel. We do have our Cash App set up. It is literally just LearnBiz. We definitely appreciate any support that you can provide. And then please check the description after I, drop this video so that you can support our shop. So we have official LearnBiz apparel on our spread shop, and you can find it at learnbizthepodcast.myspreadshop.com. We decided to do some things to mix it up a little bit and give people an opportunity to support us. As I've known, some people in the past have asked some questions about, some of the things that we're going to be doing. And we definitely have a few other things, in the works. So definitely stay tuned. Check out our shop. You'll see the link in the chat as well as in the description. And then make sure that if you have any folks that are in need of real estate, that they support Lisa. And then also you can support us through our Cash App at $LearnBiz. This is LearnBiz, the podcast. We appreciate you again for tuning in to another one. And we look forward to coming to you again soon.
Thank you, Sandy. Guys. Thank you. I can't wait to interview you next.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Doug. Oh, Doug, look forward to, we have a trucking industry individual that we are interviewing this Friday at noon. So stay tuned. She's going to give us some inside scoop on what's going on in the trucking industry and really give us some background on what it takes to really be successful in the trucking industry. So stay tuned for that. All right, guys. Hope you guys have a great night and a great day. Looking forward to chatting with you again. All right.